Morning, everyone. So, I made a post yesterday on Friday about why I'm leaving Dubai and why I've decided to go back to Canada. And I got a lot of messages. Like, my inbox was getting packed with people asking about what it's been like in Dubai, and they were planning to move there, but now they're thinking about whether or not they should go and everything. So, just to clarify a few things, my situation is very different from that of an average person. I had come to Dubai in the first place because I was born and raised there. I really missed, a lot about being in Dubai, my childhood, a lot of my extended family over here, the weather, the culture. As you can see, the weather is great right now. It's pretty nice. It'll get really hot in the summer, but it's really nice right now. So I already had a lot of history, right? So it was not, and I hadn't been back to Dubai in the last 12 years. So I was born and raised here. I left when I was 14. I lived in Canada for the last 12 years, and then I decided to come here, right? And I really, really wanted to come back because I missed it and I hadn't been, and so I did, right? But as I spent more and more time here, I started to realize that being here is not going to be useful for my goals, right? And for who I want to become. I'm incredibly ambitious. I'm someone who really wants to master sales, be great at what I do, and want to build a tech startup. And just seeing the ecosystem here, the tech ecosystem, I don't think it's going to allow for that easily. I mean, it's not easy in any way, wherever you do it, but it's going to be much more harder and it's going to be much more of a problem over here than it is in the US and Canada. And I have access to those markets, right? So it makes much more sense for me to live in Canada, the US, work, learn, grow, and build over there as compared to over here. You have a lack of technical talent. It's much, much harder to get funding over here than over there. It's hard to get people to adopt new technology over here. And so there isn't also as much value for startups. People, really trust the bigger companies. Before they do business with you, they will size you up and be like, who are you and who do you know and who knows you and that kind of thing, right? So there's all those things to consider. And in terms of my learning, growth, and development, I just feel like I'm going to hit a ceiling. I already feel like I have hit a ceiling, and that's why it makes much more sense for me to go back. Now, if you're someone who's just looking to get a job, make a decent amount of money, have a good lifestyle, Dubai is great for that. Okay, and you can definitely have that. Yeah, I have no issues living in Dubai at all. Life has been pretty good, but just know that you have to do your research, right? Because it doesn't matter what sort of role or what sort of market you're trying to break into over here, but it's very, very competitive because everybody wants to come to Dubai, okay? You're competing with a global market. It doesn't matter whether you're in sales or recruitment or, I don't know, whatever, right? And it's also important to know that there's some roles that are just not as easily available, right? So sales is one of them, where one of the roles that, there's a big demand for, right? And even then, there's still less sales roles over here than North America or Canada. So especially if you're coming from there, right, and you work in tech and in sales and you're very career oriented, it makes far more sense to be there than to be here. And especially if you're early in your career. If you've already spent a good 7, 8, 9 years and you're looking for a change and you want to move with your family and stuff, yeah, there's opportunity for you here for sure. There's a lot of companies that are interested in people, and even then, one of the biggest hurdles that you face is the lack of UAE experience. UAE experience is a big thing that everybody looks for over here, and if you don't have that, it's a big struggle, right? It's a huge struggle. So networking is really important over here. You have to network your way into everything. You have to meet people. You have to go face to face, shake hands, if possible as well, because Dubai is a very in-person culture. If you're looking for remote work, it's very unlikely that you will find remote work over here. You'll find companies offering a hybrid sort of role, but it's mostly in person. You'll get hybrid roles, but it's very, very rare. There's not as many remote roles as there are in the US and Canada, right? So that's another thing. And then it's super tough. It's super tough, right? So, for example, there isn't much room for growth in like technical roles, right? A lot of the tech people, at least this is my experience, I don't know, I could be wrong, but most of the tech people over here are out, like all the tech jobs and tech roles are outsourced. There's not much of a community over here of coders or programmers or even like engineers, right? So my sister is an engineer. She really had a tough time looking for a job over here in Dubai. There isn't much of a manufacturing industry, right? But Dubai is really, really cool for other things. Like, so anything, with consumer products or anything with, hospitality, anything that provides an experience, Dubai does really well at, right? And if you work in those sectors or, you have roles in those spaces, it might make sense for you to come here. Real estate is big, obviously. Real estate is huge over here. So it's very important to do your research. It's very important to figure out sort of what sort of person you are. What do you want, long term? How much are you willing to sacrifice and how much effort are you willing to put? Because it is a grind, right? And for me, it wasn't too much of a problem at all. This is just my nature. I'm very driven, very ambitious, always willing to push myself. And whenever I learn new things, whenever I gain new information, I'm always willing to change my decisions. So as much as I love Dubai, I believe myself to be very rational and someone who's very pragmatic, right? And who can make pragmatic decisions. So, yeah, do your research, right? And before you move here, it's important for you, or at least I would recommend at least come and visit, maybe for a week, 2 weeks, whatever, see what it's like. For me, I didn't have to do that because I was born and raised here. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to go. And I didn't have a job lined up, but I was pretty confident I'll find one. And I did. Which also took a while, but I did. So, yeah, I guess that's what I have to say. I mean, I guess if people have other questions, you can feel free to reach out. But I just got a bunch of messages. Like, I don't know, there was like 65 people who connected with me. So I was like, wow, there's definitely a lot of demand for people who want to come to Dubai and people who are not sure about what it's like. I had done a lot of research. I reached out to a lot of people before I came. Even though I was born and raised here, but I hadn't been in 12 years. So I had reached out to at least 15 to 17 people and I had conversations with them on Zoom, right? And yeah, so anyway, those are my thoughts. All the best if you plan to move to Dubai or any other country. It's always a big thing to move, from somewhere that you've been living and you're comfortable, and it's definitely, a big task, right? It's not that easy. But yeah, all the best.